So let's start from the basics. Who am I? So as Alexei mentioned, I'm the CTO and co-founder of databoutique.com, which is a marketplace for web data. Basically, I am in the web scraping industry from 2010. We started a company called Reanalytics, which is still a company, an active company that extracts data from a lot of e-commerce websites, mainly in the fashion industry, but not only in the fashion industry. We have fashion brands, investors, and websites as a customers. So, as Alexei mentioned, also I'm the owner and author of the Web Scraping Club, which is, guess what, a newsletter about web scraping. So, what is the Web Scraping Club in detail? As mentioned, it's a newsletter about web scraping, where I share my experience with tools, techniques, and a lot of things that I learned in these 10 years or even more that I am in the industry. I started in August 2022 with more or less 2 articles per week. At the moment, there is one article which is free on Sunday and one which is for paying readers on Thursdays. At the moment, we have around 6,000 subscribers, and recently I've upgraded the team, so I'm not the only one who writes articles on the newsletter, but I've created a small team with two more authors that helps me in creating the content. But today, it's not about the Web Scraping Club, but it's about the journey that I made to build the Web Scraping Club. So let's start from the why. Why another web scraping publication? Well, as I mentioned, I'm in the industry from at least 10 years. And that is one thing that I noticed, especially in the early days of my career, and that there was almost no content available about web scraping. Of course, there are company blogs which are useful for understanding what are the tools on the market, where they excel. But of course, if you want an unbiased opinion of what works and what's not, or maybe an external overview of processes, not necessarily tools, but best practices, or let's say experiences, or hearing the story of people that had the same issue that you are facing today, and you want to understand how they solved this issue. Well, this was something that it was missing, especially in the past 4 or 5 years. So, since I took a lot of notes in these years, and I decided to wrap up all my notes and to create in premise something that is useful for myself, because writing a newsletter like the Web Scraping Club helped myself in put orders in my ideas, in my notes, and create a flow of knowledge that I can reuse also myself when I need to face a new challenge on a new website. And the general idea was to create a space where, without any marketing material, with an opinion from a third person that doesn't want to sell you anything. And the other aspect that I wanted to create was creating a community, because as you may know, being a web scraper can be quite solitary life because unless you work in a large company that does a lot of web scraping and you have many colleagues you can talk to, generally speaking, I've met mainly freelancers or small teams in companies that it's difficult to exchange some knowledge with another person if there's not a community where you can ask questions and maybe share your experience. So that's why I also wanted to create a community where web scrapers can gather and talk with each other. But let's start from what I learned in this journey, and then we'll go in detail about the journey. What in these almost 3 years of web scraping club, what I learned is that whatever community or content machine you are creating, a YouTube video, a company blog, or a YouTube channel, or whatever you're creating, well, comparing with other successful stories, it's not such a great idea, because you can, of course, you can learn from them, you can understand what worked for them, but you have to play your own game. You have to stay focused on what you're doing and not thinking that the magic formula that brings success to other people will work for you. And this is related also with another aspect. You don't need to be obsessed with the metrics that don't depend on you, from you, like the number of subscribers, the views on your videos, and so on. Of course, they are an immediate feedback about your work. So if after a video you are losing followers or you're losing the views, or after a series of videos or articles or whatever you're creating, you're losing the momentum, you're losing time, you're losing the time watch, you're losing visitors on your website. Probably this is a feedback about your work, but what's not healthy is to create a sort of plan, like I need to grow 2K subscribers every week, otherwise it will be a failure, because other newsletters are growing like that. It doesn't work like that, because apart from your work, which might be the best work you can create, there are a lot of other things that influence these metrics, and you cannot govern them. Maybe the algorithm changes, the platform in this moment is promoting more AI posts or AI content instead of content about web scraping. There are a lot of other aspects you cannot control. So don't be obsessed with the metrics. Take them as a feedback, but not be obsessed about them. At the same time, one thing that I had to learn during the journey is to optimize the time and the efforts I needed to put on the creating of the web scraping club, because, as said, I'm also a co-founder of a company, so my time to dedicate to the web scraping club is limited. So I needed to be more focused and have a clear agenda on the time that I have to spend on the web scraping club, and I needed also to play smart. I mean, you can chunk your content for reposting it on your social media, on YouTube, or whatever other platform to fuel the organic growth of your community. I know I said you play smart because, of course, you don't have, especially at the beginning, you don't have money and time to pay someone that does it for you. So you have your own Substack or channel to maintain, create content, and on top of that, you need to promote it. And on top of that, you have your own daily job. So it's the task keeps stacking. And if you don't want to lose control over your life and work 24 hours a day, you need to be very focused and be smart on what you do during the day. And the last thing I learned, which is the most important, is create your content for the pleasure of doing it. Because, as we'll see later, this is the only way to keep you motivated in doing what you're doing. In fact, we have 3 stages of building a community, and the first one is the toughest one. The first stage is the voice in the wilderness. So you're writing a newsletter, you're creating a community online, you're building a YouTube channel, you do a lot of work, and no one knows about you. No one is listening to your podcast, no one is watching your video, no one is reading your articles. During this period, you have to focus on your content and write, as I said before, create your content for the pleasure of doing it. The second stage, instead, of the indie media. So basically, you created a small crowd that are starting to follow you, your content, but of course you are not on the mainstream. You are not at the top of the charts of YouTube or Substack or Spotify or whatever you are creating. And then the stage 3 is the mainstream media. This is when your content channel becomes the point of reference for a niche, for the people that is interested in the topic you're talking about. So let's see these 3 stages in detail. The first one, as I said, is the voice in the forest. You talk, no one will listen to you. And this is the hardest part of starting something, and it probably is the stage where many of the people that start a project, a community, will quit. Because it's a lot of effort and you have no gratification. You're alone writing your content. You try to share it with the first readers. You hope that the CEO or the recommendation engine of the platform you're writing or you're creating the content into will promote your video or your newsletter or whatever. And so most of the time it doesn't happen. Okay, don't worry. It's normal. Keep writing, keep creating your content, and take this time as an opportunity to find your place in the web, to experiment. Take this time to understand what's the vision for your community. Maybe you started with an idea, and then by writing content or scripting the videos and so on, you understand that maybe you should change something in the communication, in the process of creating the content, or in the format. Maybe, I don't know, I started with the Web Scraping Club. During the first months, as an example, I I made some written interviews, but then I understood that probably it was not the best format for an interview, and then I stopped doing them. And after 2 years, I launched the YouTube channel of the Web Scraping Club, where I'm making video interviews, and in my opinion, they are much more valuable than written ones. Also, I mentioned about experiment with the platform you're into. You don't know. Maybe for a newsletter, you have several options. You have Substack, you have Beehive, I suppose. You have many other options. You need to understand also, if you think in the long term, what's the best platform for you, what you want to add to your community, what perks you want to give to the readers or to your followers, and then choose the right platform for you. So, I just mentioned this before. Focus on the platform you should use. Also, the business model, because it seems early, even if you don't have anyone that follows you, but thinking in the long term. Is there a way to keep myself motivated if I do everything forever for free? Because writing a video, scripting a video, creating a video, a podcast, or creating an article, it takes time, and it's a marathon. So you need to think: Am I able to do this for years without any reward in terms of subscriptions, in terms of money? Maybe I want to monetize in some other ways and keep the content free. But of course, this is an aspect you have to keep in mind. Just like any other business, then you need to understand where you can promote your content. Who are my personas that I have to reach for that could be interested in my content? And last but not least, how can I get the inspiration for my content? Because, of course, all of us have this experience that you want to bring your experience on your articles, on videos, and so on. But of course, you have to fuel also your content machine with some other ideas. You have take the habit of learning from other sources, add some other point of view in your views in your content, and that's what you typically do in the first steps, because you have more time to experiment. So what I did personally, and I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do, but that's what I did. Honestly, despite all the things I said before, I did not any market research about the platform to use for doing for creating a newsletter. I've seen Substack. I've read some Substack. I like the way the UX of the platform, the easiness of you creating a newsletter with a paywall without any programming skills. It was so easy to create a newsletter. I've seen a trend in people that I was following that were creating Substacks, and I decided, okay, it seems a good tool. What I didn't consider that at least for almost the whole 2023, so I made more than a year where I wrote articles that were not indexed at all on Google. So I don't know why, but many of the top content creators also today on that are also on the top of the chart today on Substack. Like I remember the Pragmatic Engineer, or also Lenny podcast. They had all a separate websites, a standard WordPress or something like that, where they copied the content because Substack was not indexed at all on Google, so it was very hard to grow a community or even the audience of the newsletter. So luckily, this changed, I think, in October 2023, and now Substack ranks really well. But yes, this was a huge downside, at least in the first year of the Web Scraping Club. Then what works for me was to start charging for paid articles almost immediately, because I needed to be motivated. I need to understand if my content was good enough to convince some people to pay for it. Having this kind of feedback from the readers committed myself. I were more committed than before after I seen the first person paying for my articles, that I said, okay, I need to keep writing quality content for this person and for all the other persons that will eventually buy the subscription, because I cannot lose their trust. They put trust on me. They wanted to pay the articles, and I cannot ruin the trust they had in me. So what I did to grow, some tips I used was to share on Hacker News some of the articles. If you see in the picture here, the first article I shared was a huge boost on the newsletter. We are talking about 200 subscribers in just 3 days, more or less, because the article went in the first page of Hacker News. Of course, it's all about luck, not only about the content, because being in the first page of Hacker News, it's a lottery, and you have a limited amount of tickets you can buy, otherwise you get banned. I mentioned SEO before. Now that Substack is ranking very good on Google, the fact of having, I think, 400 articles in my newsletter, well, it's having a compound interest. Every article I write, the more viewers, the more visibility I have on Google. And the last tip I want to share for this stage is do things that don't scale. In the first year, while the newsletter was not indexing on Google, I messaged, I think, hundreds of persons on LinkedIn saying, "Hi, I know you are on the web scraping industry. I want to share with you my newsletter. Maybe you like it. I hope you can spend 2 time giving me my feedback." And this fueled the growth of a newsletter until I stopped doing this because the SEO was finally working. Okay, let's go to the stage 2, where I call it the indie phase of your community, because you started to have some followers, some audience. The first thing is don't waste the trust they put on you. They are taking the time to read your articles. Maybe they are also paying it. Don't make something that make them hungry, like start promoting unuseful stuff or crypto scams or whatever. No, don't do it. Stay true to yourself, to the initial scope of what you imagined, and stick it to it. One of the challenges you have to find is that you have to fight is that audience doesn't mean community. You have followers, you have readers for your newsletters, you have viewers for your video, but still you are not creating a community. You are broadcasting your messages, but you are not creating a community. A community is a two-way, or ideally multiple way, as a multiple way of interaction. It's not a broadcasting system. And in this phase, that's the incipit probably of the community. People start to get back to you and ask you, how can I do this? I like your video, but how can I do that? You explained the thing that you explained in this content, so on. And the challenge in this phase is to balance the time to dedicate to the community, to the start of a community, because you don't have time for it, because you have to create the content, you have to start the content machine that becomes more and more intensive, because there's a lot of things to do. You have to promote, again, you have to promote your newsletter and so on, and then you also find out that you have to answer to the people, and things keep adding to your time, to your task table, and probably this is where you understand that you might need some help from the outside, but at the moment you don't have any money for pay for the help. So in this phase, you have, as I said here in the slide, you have no income, but on the other side, you need to understand how ask for some help to delegate something at least. So if you want to create a community in this step, again, you have to make some engineering about the feedback loop about the content. So how can I create a frictionless and fast feedback loop about my content without the need of too much of my time being involved in this? How people can truly connect with you, as I said, without interfering too much with the other thousands of tasks we have in the days, during your days. And when you start having some traction about your content, you also want to understand how much time I want to spend in doing this in the next 5 years. Is it something I want to do full time? And if so, how can I make it sustainable? Because if you want to do it full time, in some way you need to be paid. Or if you don't want to do it full time, well, people expect you to expect that your content will keep flowing, and with more people on the community and in the audience, you have more and more questions that pop up or value to add to the community or to the audience. So the task will incredibly grow, and so you need money to ask for some help. On the other side, you need to ask yourself, what can't be bought? What's the line that must not be crossed on the community? So what I did for the Web Scraping Club is to open a Discord server, which is easy to manage. I dedicate certain slots during the day to answer to the community. to be honest, I need still to figure out how to improve my presence in this Discord server. Maybe have some way to add involvement with the community on it. But it's a good way to start. And about the sustainability instead of the project, I introduced partnership with brands. I mean, I'm selling visibility on the newsletter, which means, let's call it in the old-fashioned way, banners on the newsletter, in the articles, but my line that must not be crossed is the interference on the content. Companies are well aware that are paying for banners, but not for mentions in the articles or reviews that are adjusted since the company is paying for being reviewed or whatever. So being clear with brands and readers about that helped me a lot, because partnership are still a good way to raise money, but the subscribers understood it and didn't feel betrayed by myself, because I added some banners in the articles. What I've seen that affiliate marketing doesn't work at this scale. So I can still use affiliate links because it's a way for brands to understand the return on investment, how many clicks they make, how many clicks readers make on the articles where there's their brand, and so on. But it's not a way for making money unless we have several hundreds of thousands of readers or followers or whatever. In this phase, I've seen that most of the growth arrived from SEO and social media sharing like LinkedIn or Reddit in premise. So that's what I learned that works in this stage. Now let's go to the final stage, when you are the mainstream media of your niche. I'm not in this phase. I'm in the late second stage, but I start to feel what are the challenges that there can be in this stage, because brands push to be visible on your platform, and you start to have a good amount of readers, followers, and you want to create something. You have to create value for them, a community where they can exchange experiences, ideas, and so on. And as mentioned before, being a reader or follower, it's not enough. You need to create a space where they can talk about it, they can reach to you, find the value they need, and for what they subscribe to your content. On the other hand, you have to fight the subscription churn, because after years you are writing or you're creating content, there's the risk that you're running out of ideas, or your articles don't seem so fresh as they were before. So these are the main challenges, I think, in this stage. So what's the focus of this point on this stage? The question I make myself are mainly, how can I give the opportunity to brands to be on the platform and add value to it? Because I think that for a partnership with a brand, it doesn't work if it's only a banner on an article, or it must be something more organic, maybe a guest post where you need where the specific company brand shows their strength, or in any case, or how to add value for the customers. Maybe not just discount codes or something that can help the community understand the value of the brand shown on the community. And also, after introducing the partnership, of course we have, at least in my case, we have a stable income, more or less stable income, and then you need to use it to improve the community. So it means that you need to pay people for writing articles, to add more point of views on the platform, and this costs, of course, several $1,000s each month. So the focus here is like creating a company, how this can be sustainable in the long run, preserving, on the other side, the independence of the content we mentioned before. And just as a recap, adding value for the members of the community, especially the ones that are paying also for reading your content. So what I am doing, and I don't know if it's working or not, but I'm experimenting, is to, as mentioned, adding 2 more authors to the newsletter. This gave me more time to test new tools, focus on the paid articles, which are the lab series, that are more time consuming, and because there's the code inside, it's a practical use case, and bringing new people to in the author teams also allowed me to write more about different programming languages, since I'm more focused on Python, but the other guys are also proficient in TypeScript and so on. And also what I'm trying to do to add value to the community is I created a circle community I think the last month, which is another way to create a discussion inside the community, but more ordered than a Discord server, because in Discord server, if you look for any message, it becomes quite difficult. It happens every time that I've seen something on Discord, but I cannot find it again. So probably Circle is a better tool for creating a sort of knowledge center, community-based knowledge center about web scraping, but it's an experiment, so I still don't know if this is true. I'm concluding this presentation with the usual tips and tricks. Well, even in this phase, you don't have to push your community to buy something. There's already too much advertising there, and if you do it, you will lose your community because they feel betrayed. They feel they are sold something, and no one likes being sold. Instead, focus on provide value by showcasing products. Make clear what the product of the companies that they are talking about, what's the best use case for these tools, why people should use it, but not force people to buy them. And the most important one is remember why you started. It can take several years to arrive to a stage where you have some reward from the work you are doing, but the reward is not the target, should not be the target. It's the price for the work you are doing, So focus on always do a better work instead of focus on make more money on top of the community, whatever you're building. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening to it.